your offense needs to focus on a primary unit of Amari Cooper, Khalil Shakir in the slot, and then from there, Kincaid and Knox will mix in depending on the situation. It's going to be more Kincaid. Davis and James Cook will mix in. We can talk about that later. I think they're both really, really good. And then I would say mainly Keon Coleman, but you're still going to have to find a role at some point for Curtis Samuel. You're paying him a lot of money. I do think he showed some life last week against the Jets. And then, now he's hurt again. So we'll see what that happened. Or was he sick? No, he got hurt again. So we'll see what happens there. And then honestly, look, Mac Hollins, you're Jake Kumaro. Come in obvious situations when the entire world knows you're going to run. Come in when a couple wide receivers just both ran deep on the same play and a couple guys need to spell. But, your days of being a primary receiver where it's the first third down of the game, it's the third play of the game, and you're on the field and you're read number one, that needs to be done. Okay, we've graduated beyond the Mac Hollins as a primary target in this offense. We need to be at the point now where we can start to look back and laugh at the time where Mac Hollins was a primary target for Josh Allen. You have Amari Cooper, you have Khalil Shakir, and before I make my next point, Luka, do you agree with what I'm saying about the differentiation between everybody eats and everybody plays? Because to me, backups are backups for a reason. I get that guys need to come on and spell. Guys are going to get tired. It's a very, very excruciating sport. But I think that the Bills have leaned way too much into these rotations, and it's time to really focus on your best players.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from, and I agree with it. It's a great thing to be comfortable with your depth. You shouldn't be depending on your depth for overall production. Your depth is your depth. I also say it all the time, Josh, where it's like, if you're getting heavy into your depth, you shouldn't have great expectations. You shouldn't be expecting that nothing should change. If you're diving deep into your wide receiver pool to have big production, you're probably in trouble at that position, and it's not going to be pretty, which is exactly what we saw for a lot of these weeks prior to this one. And now, as you're saying it so perfectly, now that you have this true number one in Amari, who is just kind of, what I love about Amari the most? It does feel like he just shows up and does his business, and he does it at a very high level. The thing that I highlight the most to that thought is not necessarily that he doesn't talk. It's the fact that he doesn't even care about something like his number, where he's had a new number at every stop he's made. It's like, no, I'm just here to show up, do my business, and do it well. And he does exactly that. So with that, though, you now have this guy, as you talked about at length, and as we'll probably talk about for the remainder of the season now at this point, that puts Keon, that puts Shakir in their more comfortable where they should be roles. That puts Kincaid and Sprinkle in your Knox where need to in their comfortable roles. That puts then less stress on the run game like it was previously, because yes, it is nice to have this mantra of everybody eats, but you have your key guys for a reason, and those are the individuals you need to lean on. And what we saw even today is the most targeted receiver was a tie between Keon Coleman and Shakir, but then Cooper obviously made his massive impact where he did and will still do his thing. That to me is the more realistic and better approach of an everybody eats. Yes, you have this true number one, but luckily for you, it's not a Diggs-like number one where he needs and demands his 12 plus targets. So therefore, you can still find your other key contributors to get your overall better production, which is exactly what it is. It doesn't need to be like everybody plays, as you're saying, and all of a sudden you have Mac Hollins and a very overpaid, useless Curtis Samuel. No disrespect. I know he got banged up, but you have them play.
I just called him useless, but no disrespect. So I'm good.
Overpaid, useless Curtis Samuel, who needs to play because that's how you believe it to be as everybody eats. It's like, no, stay on the sideline. Your role is only if needed, break glass, whatever it is, or package situations, blah, blah, blah. But look, X, Y, and Z, 1, 2, and 3, these are our guys. This is who will primarily be getting the snap share, and it makes all the sense in the world.